Hello friends, let us welcome back to study the next topic, that is the coastal plains of India. As you can see in the map that India is having different kind of India is having a long coastline, and we are having the coastline on both the parts. That is, the coastline of India lies on the eastern coast as well as on the western coast. Now before I start with the coastline of India, what do we know? We know that these are the Aravalli ranges. We know that this ranges here, the continuous mountain range is the Western Ghat range. We also know that this region here is the eastern coast of India. This is the Eastern Ghat of India. We know that these are Vindhyas, and these are the Vindhyas and the Satpuras. So on the eastern side of India, can you see this orange color shaded region? It is the east coastal plain of India. It is the east coastal plain of India. While on the western side you have here is the greenish color, a marshy green color, what is known as the west coastal plain of India. It is known as an west coastal plain of India. West coastal plain of India. Now let us study what is the difference between the west coastal plain and the east coastal plain of India. As you can see here in this coastal plain of India. As you can see in the map, which is wider, the orangish color or the greenish color? Out of these two, which is more wider? The east coastal plain is wider as compared to the west coastal plain. Is wider as compared to the west coastal plain. This is the first thing you remember about the coastal plains of India. Now why it is wider and why it is narrower, that is a different story. But if you remember that this was an India before when this was supposed to be an Indian plate. Now when the Indian plate was coming towards the Eurasian plate, at some point it cracked, and if you remember the geomorphology part, if you remember the earlier part, it cracked in between. After cracking, if this is the western side and if this is the eastern side of the Indian plain, the western side submerged and the eastern side also tilted. So today we are having the west coastal plain and the east coastal plain. So if you are standing here on the western side, and if you look at the top, you look as if the west coastal plain has a high mountain, what we call as an Eastern Ghats, backed by high mountain, while yahan pe the east coastal plain is little bit bending or tilting towards the east. So what is this? Which part has gone below the sea, east or west? The western part has gone below the sea. While what has happened on the eastern part, if I draw a map of India here, and if I want to show you, there are numerous rivers which originate in the Western Ghat and flow towards the Bay of Bengal region. River Ganga also originates in the Himalayas and flows towards the flows into the Bay of Bengal. Similarly, River Ganga is joined by River Brahmaputra and goes into the Bay of Bengal region. Now, as they drain into the Bay of Bengal region, they have deposited large amount of sediments, and over the period, the land has come out. Why I am shading this area as white? Because the land has come out. As if the sediments have, if this was the sea here, if this was an sea here, over the period, the rivers which are coming, they have deposited the sediments in the sea, and therefore a land has been formed on the eastern coastal plain. Why? Because extremely big rivers, Ganga, Brahmaputra, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, they carry large amount of broken rocks, they carry large amount of sediments, and they fill the sea. If you remember the story of a cow filling up of the mud, brought the level of mud up. Now, if you remember the story of a crow filling up of the crow wanted to drink the water, so he filled them with the pebbles. Similarly, here the sediments have been brought by numerous rivers and they have been filled up. And as a result, the land has emerged out from the sea, from the shallow sea which is near the coastal region. Obviously, coastal region generally has a shallow sea. So therefore, the east coastal plain, in fact, in this the land has come out. So can we say when the land has come out, the east coastal plain is an example of an emerged coast, while the west coastal plain, because the land has gone below, it is an example of an submerged coast. It is an example of a submerged coast. Remember, the west coastal plain, except for some parts, is an example of an submerged coastline. The east coastal plain is an example of an immersed coastline. So the two things of difference you know before we go to the next part, that is the west coastal plain is submerged. Therefore, from the western side of India, the background of this western coastal plain, if you are standing here, you can see in my diagram, the Western Ghats look like high mountains, while the east coastal plains is an example of an emerged coastline. And due to this emerged coastline, whenever the land has come out, we see numerous islands, while the area in which the land has not come out, we see the lagoons in this region. That means any emerged coastline will have lagoons. A submerged coastline generally has a backdrop of a high mountains. So let us start in detail the study of east and west coastal plain. Now, where does the west coastal plain? Two things you remember about the west coastal plain. And the east coastal plain from the exam point of view. What is the first difference? It is an example of an submerged emerged east coastal plain. It is an example of an submerged coastline. While the east coastal plain is an example of an emerged coastline. It is an example of an emerged coastline. Second, which is narrow, which is wider? The west coastal plain is narrow, comparatively narrow, while the east coastal plain is comparatively wider. It is comparatively wider. Now, because it is an emerged coastline, what you find in an emerged coastline? What are the kind of, suppose if this is a land through which a river is flowing. I am trying to draw a three-dimensional figure. This is a land through which maybe a river is flowing. And this is a water level here in this land. Niche there is a crust. River is flowing on this land. Let me use a different color. River is flowing through this land here. Now, river is flowing through this land, and what it will do? It will fill up the areas, it will deposit the sediments. Over the period of time, the sediments will come up and form a land. And the land and the new land which will be formed will be looking somewhat, or if to make the things more easier, suppose if this is a land, how does the emerged coastline look like? If this is a land which is below the sea water, it is below the sea water. This is all water here, and this land which is shaded land is below the sea water. Now, what do you mean by emerged coastline? That means the land has come up from the sea water. So, if the land has come up from the sea water, the land is never flat. The land will come up from the sea water. Maybe the land is now this way. And now the sea is at a lower level. Are you getting this? Try to imagine this. Try to understand this. If this lecture you are not happy, I will record it normally on the whiteboard. So now when the land has emerged out, what will remain in these grooves? These are the grooves, or the land is never exactly flat. So there are some depressions, some holes on the land, and in these holes, what will come out? when the land comes out, this will be filled by water. Why? Because this holes where this land was initially under the water, if the land is coming out, land will come out, sea level will go down, but agar land is not flat, usme there will be some depressions, some holes, and in that holes water will be filled up. Now this water which fills up is known as lagoons. So remember, in any emerged coastline there will be formation of an lagoons, and because the east coastal plain is an emerged coastline, there are formation of lagoons. East coastal plain is an example of an emerged plain. Is an emerged plain. It has numerous lagoons. It has numerous lagoons here. Now let us study in detail what are this east and west coastal plains. First we'll start with the study of the west coastal plains. If we look at this region, which I am now marking red color, this region in the Gujarat is known as a what region? Kutch region. It is known as an Kutch region. This region of Gujarat is known as an Kathiawar region. Is known as an Kathiawar region. In the state of Maharashtra, this plain of Maharashtra and Goa is known as an Konkan region or Konkan plains. This is in the state of Karnataka and it is known as an Karnataka or Kannara plains or Kannara plains. And lastly, the plains which lie in Kerala is known as an Malabar coast or Malabar plains. Is known as an Malabar coast. So the west coastal plain is divided into Kutch region, Kathiawar plains, Konkan coastline, Kannara plains and the Malabar plains. Now you remember one basic difference in this. One basic difference. The Kutch region and the Malabar coastline in the west coastal plain are examples of these are examples of emerged coastlines. These are examples of an emerged coastlines. While the majority of the west coastal plain, that is the right from the Kathiawar region, you can see I am shading it by white color, to the entire Maharashtra and Goa, that is the Konkan coastline, to the Kannara coastline, the majority of the coast is an example of an submerged coastline. So which are submerged coastline? One is the Kathiawar region, two is the Konkan region, and three is the Kannara plain is an example of an submerged coastline. So the western coastal plain, west coastal plain is an example of submerged coast, except which two coastlines? Except Kutch region of Gujarat and Malabar region of Kerala. Except the Malabar region of Kerala and the Kutch region of Gujarat, the entire west coastal plain is an example of an submerged coastline. Kathiawar region, which state? Gujarat. Konkan region, which state? Maharashtra and Goa. And Kannara plains, which state? Karnataka. This Kannara plains lies in the state of Karnataka. So therefore you will find, because the Kerala is an example of an emerged coastline, you will find numerous lagoons in Kerala which are famous as a backwaters of Kerala. Now let us look at the east coastal plain. I will erase all the ink here and let us look at the east coastal plains. The east coastal plains The east coastal plains, if I start from the north, the east coastal plain in the state of Orissa is known as an Utkal plains. In the state of Orissa, it is known as Utkal plains. In the state of Andhra Pradesh, they are known as Andhra plains. These are known as an Andhra plains. While in the state of Tamil Nadu, these are known as Tamil Nadu plains. These are known as Tamil Nadu plains or Coromandel coast. Or it is known as an Coromandel coast. So we have Tamil Nadu plains or the Coromandel coast, we have Andhra plains, and we have east coastal plains. The important plains from the exam point of view are map pointing is important in the Kutch Kathiawar region. Map pointing is important in the Kerala region. Tamil Nadu plains are important because they are found by river Kaveri. Andhra plains are important because you have two important lakes over here, Pulikat Lake and the Kolleru lakes. And the Orissa plain is important because you have Chilka Lake over here. Because I am not going to do any of these things very separately, I will allow me in the future, in the next lecture, to go into detail. We will be studying the plains in this lecture, and the future in the next lecture I will tell you what is the Chilka Lake ki khasiyat, what is Pulikat Lake ki khasiyat. That is in the terms of environment and ecology, so that you don't miss out some of the questions of that area also. So let us first start our study with the difference, and we will revise the difference of the west and east coastal plains. Now see here, the east coastal plains lie along the eastern coast of India, yes, and they are washed by Bay of Bengal, yes, while the west coastal plain lie along the west coast of India and they are washed by Arabian Sea, yes. Second point of difference is more important, that the east coastal plain is broader than the west coastal plain. You don't have to remember the width, but if you want to remember the width, you can remember the width varies from 80 kilometers to 100 kilometers, but the west coastal plain is narrower. It is so narrow at some of the places that there is no difference between the mountains of Western Ghat and the seashore. Therefore, in some places it says it is so narrow that the Western Ghats touch the seawater. You don't have to remember exactly how much broad and how much narrow it is. But remember, east coastal plains are broad while the west coastal plains are narrow. Now, if I try to show you here in the map of India, from the Western Ghat region, we have river Godavari which flows and makes a delta here. We have river Krishna which flows, makes a delta here. We have Kaveri which flows and makes a delta here in the western part. Even the river of Himalaya, river Ganga, originates and flows through West Bengal to make a delta in Bangladesh. The Ganga delta is joined by river Brahmaputra to make one of the largest delta in the world, which is known as Ganga Brahmaputra delta. On the other hand, if you remember a parallel drainage system in geomorphology, the western coast of India, has numerous rivers which originate on the western side of the Western Ghats and quickly enter the sea, forming a parallel drainage system, and because they flow for a very smaller distance, they do not form delta. Also, because they flow through the rockier regions, they do not form the delta. Why? Because for the formation of delta, remember, large volume of a river, large sediment supply, and इसलिए large flow of or a long flow of a river is needed. Now you can see the red color lines which are there on the screen. They are the west flowing rivers. The west flowing rivers flow through such a narrow region, such a small region, such a narrow region that they do not form a delta, while the east flowing river which originate on the Western Ghat, they flow for long distance and enter the Bay of Bengal, forming a delta in this region. So comes a third point. The large river makes wide deltas on the eastern coastal plains, but the short, swift rivers do not make any delta on the west coastal plains. That means, सबसे पहला difference exam point of view से important is which is wider, east coastal plains, which is narrower, west coastal plains. Where are the deltas? East coastal plains. Why? Because there are large and long rivers which flow for a greater distance, therefore they carry large amount of sediments and they deposit these sediments in the eastern coast, that is the Bay of Bengal region, forming a delta. On other hand, the west flowing rivers, except Narmada and Tapi, we will do that with separately. On other hand, the west flowing rivers are short and swift, and therefore they do not have large sediment load to form a delta. Therefore, they do not form a delta. Now, the fourth point, the east coastal plain is sandy with alluvium. Alluvium means, obviously, a river has deposited, it is known as alluvium, and slopes gently towards the sea. Sand dunes and marshy lands are also found, not important. In some coastal strips on the eastern coast, there is lagoon. Why there are lagoon on the eastern coast? Because, as I told you, because the east coastal plain is an example of emerged coastline. Because it is an emerged coastline, there is a lagoon in this region. But the west coastal plain is relatively rocky. It slopes abruptly down the sea. There is no lagoon in the northern part of the western coastal plain. It has many estuaries in the Konkan coast, but the southern part, that is the Kerala region, but the southern part, especially the Malabar coast means which state? Kerala, has beautiful scene of backwaters with the series of lagoons. That means there are lagoons on the west coastal plain. So let us come to the first slide here. So there are lagoons on the east coastal plain, Chilka, Pulicat Lake. Here there are numerous lagoons, but यहाँ पे on the northern side of the west coastal plains, because it is an example of an submerged coast, you do not have a lagoon. Lagoon कहाँ है? Kerala में. Why Kerala? Because the Kerala coast is an example of an emerged coastline. On other hand, this entire, all the three plains, that is the Utkal plains of Orissa, Andhra plains and the Tamil Nadu plains have lagoons, because the entire east coastal plain is an example of an emerged coastline. While on the western side, why Malabar plains? If the question comes in examination, why the Kerala region or the plains in Kerala or the Malabar coastline has a lagoon? Because it is an example of an emerged coastline. Or why the Konkan coast or the Canara coast does not have a lagoon? Because it is an example of an submerged coastline. Lagoon means a lake between sea and a land. Kab hoga lake? If this is a land which is below the sea. Now the land is not flat. Now if it has emerged above the sea, or if this is a land which is there below the sea, it is covered by the sea. If you take this cup, imagine this cup as a land. You put it inside the sea, means put it inside the bucket of water, and then emerge. Emerge means pull out of this cup. This cup will come empty, or will there be water in it? There will be water in it. Why? Because the cup has hollow region in it. Land is not flat. It is not physics. It is not mathematics. It is not science. Geography is social science. The land, when we say land is flat, it does not mean land is flat. Land will have some depressions, some grooves, at least some slope or some hollow region. In this hollow region, similar to cup, if you are taking the cup out of bucket of water, similarly if the land is emerging out of a sea, there will be some lakes, marshy, there will be some brackish water lakes formed, some salt water lakes formed, and you call them as lagoons. In which lagoons? In the emerged coastline. While on the submerged coastline, whether this cup is hollow or not, if I put it inside the water, where will the cup lie? Cup will lie at the bottom of a bucket. Can we say वहाँ पे lagoon है or anything is there? No, because cup is at the bottom. Similarly, the land is below the bottom of the sea. We won't say that as a lagoon, but lagoon is on the emerged coastline. Now come to the next point of difference. The eastern coastline is very smooth. This is the point you remember. The eastern coastline is very smooth. And if it is a smooth coastline, then the ports के लिए you require indented coastline. You require a coastline which is not regular. Therefore, because it is a smooth coastline, it is unfit for making the ports. So very few ports are developed there. But the west coastal plain is broken and indented and suitable for making ports. And for this reason, a large number of ports are located on the western coast. So if I ask you, where are the natural ports and harbor found? What is the application of the 6 points? An application is, in the question, if a question comes in the examination, where are the natural ports or harbor found? On the west coastal plain or on the east coastal plain? What will be your answer? Your answer will be on the west coastal plain. You will find natural ports and harbors. Why? Because it is indented coastline. It is an irregular coastline. 7th point of difference you already know. We already know that the larger rainfall in India, where does the higher amount of rainfall in India occur? More than 200 centimeters of the rainfall in India occur along the Western Ghats and the west coastal plain and in the northeast of India. This two shaded region receives very heavy rainfall. Same is what I have written in the 7th point. The east coastal plain receives comparatively low rainfall, but the west coastal plains receive very heavy rainfall. And if an area which receives very heavy rainfall, what happens if this is the top layer of the soil? Now consider this as a top layer of the soil. And there are numerous minerals which are present in the top layer of the soil. There will be numerous minerals which are present on the top layer of the soil. When very heavy rainfall occurs, what happens? Water removes most of the minerals from the top layer of the soils and removes it. So on the upper level, most of the minerals are removed except for iron and aluminium. So on the upper level, you will find only the iron and aluminium found. You will find only iron and aluminium in the uppermost layer of the soil. And such a soil is known as a laterite soil. Laterite soil occurs due to the process of leaching. Laterite soil occurs due to the process of leaching. We will do, while doing that in detail in soil, what is leaching? Leaching means all the major nutrients are removed due to heavy rainfall from the top layer of the soil, and the top layer of the soil remains rich only in iron and aluminium. Such a soil is known as a brick soil because it is red in color and it is useful for making bricks. Bricks means laterite, and therefore this soil is known as a laterite soil. Why is it red in color? Because of the presence of iron. Now the leaching process operates in the areas of heavy rainfall. Leaching process operates in the area of heavy rain. And where will be the heavy rain? On the eastern or western coast of India? On the western coast of India. Because of the presence of Western Ghats, you get heavy rain in this region. And इसीलिए you find here laterite soils. You find here laterite soils or lateritic soils. This is what is written in the 7th point. The east coastal plain is formed by alluvial soils and is fertile especially on the deltas. Why? Because what is a delta? Delta is a erosional feature, depositional feature. It is a depositional feature. Depositional feature by what? Lakes, rivers, wind. It is by rivers. So rivers, when it forms a depositional feature, what kind of soil it is? Alluvial soil. Alluvial soil is fertile, infertile. It is fertile. Otherwise, Great Plains of India would not have been agriculturally the most important region. Indo-Gangetic plains. It forms a fertile alluvial soil. So the east coastal plain is formed by a fine alluvial soil and is fertile especially in the delta regions. That is, यहाँ पे in the coast of Andhra, in the coast of Tamil Nadu, this was the area of Green Revolution in India. Green Revolution in India took place in the southern India, in Andhra and Tamil Nadu coastline, and in North India in Punjab and Haryana region. So these were the two areas of Green Revolution in India, where in the Punjab Haryana region and in the Andhra Tamil Nadu coastline. यहाँ पे wheat, यहाँ पे rice. So therefore these are fertile in this region and consequently agriculture is developed. But the west coastal plain is formed by laterite soil, which is by the process of leaching. Therefore this soil is infertile and agriculture is not prosperous except in the Malabar coast. Malabar coast mein agriculture is somewhat prosperous. It is not that leaching in the soil, in the areas of leaching nothing grows. Cashew nut grows, coconut grows, and therefore you can see the west coastal plain, even the Kerala region is famous for cashew nut, for coconut. And last is the most important difference. The west coastal plain is an example of an submerged coast, and except the Malabar and the Kutch region, while the east coastal plain, the entire east coastal plain is an example of an immersed coastline. So the west coastal plain is an example of an submerged coastline, and the entire east coastal plain is an example of an emerged coastline, except the two regions of west coastal plains which are also emerged, that is top mein and bottom mein. Top mein Kutch region, bottom mein Malabar region. Now let us study some of the important facts and see here. Map based question will also come from this region. The UPSC generally will go in detail in map pointing in the prelims examination. What is the proof? Take any of the past year questions, go through it and see how map based question and how geography in detail is asked. Though it looks very superficial, but the study is detailed one. Now first we will study with the coastal plains in Gujarat. We will first study with the coastal plains in Gujarat. The coastal plains in Gujarat consist of Rann of Kutch region, Rann of Kutch region, and the Kathiawar region. And the Kathiawar region. What is the basic difference? Rann of Kutch is submerged or emerged? It is emerged. What is the Kathiawar region? Kathiawar region is an example of a submerged coastline. How to remember it? If you see, you need to use mythology sometimes. So if you remember, Dwarka of Krishna was somewhere in the Gujarat region, this region. Now it has gone below the sea. Why? Because it is an example of an submerged coastline. That area has gone below the sea. It is an example of an submerged coastline. Rann of Kutch, how to remember? It is an immersed coastline. Remember, this Rann of Kutch was an island which was surrounded by sea on all the sides. Therefore, it is an island. Now, the rivers which originated, river Indus and its tributaries, brought so much large amount of sediments that it filled up this land with sediments and filled up this area or the sea here with sediments, resulting into formation of an Rann of Kutch, and therefore the Rann of Kutch is an marshy region. It is an marshy region. It is a marshy region filled up by the sediments. Now let us first study the Rann of Kutch, uska map pointing, then we'll study the Kathiawar region, some of the map pointings in there. So I will just rub this from the slide. How is this Rann of Kutch region? The Rann of Kutch region consists, it is the Rann of Kutch or the Kutch Peninsula. It can also be written in this way, Kutch. The Kutch Peninsula is an example of an emerged coastline. It was actually an island which was which was filled up by the sediments brought down by the rivers. Brought down by the rivers. What is this? What is the situation today? Today it is an marshy land. It is an marshy land. What is the third point you have to remember after it is an marshy land? Now open your atlas, whatever your atlas you are having, and open the map of Gujarat. That is this part in your bigger map. That is the map of Gujarat which you can see here. And let us and study with me the run of Kutch in detail. See here. How is the run of Kutch? The run of Kutch, you can see here, consists of two parts. You can see on the north, near the Pakistan border, there is written as a run of Kutch. So this is a run of Kutch. Also you can see in the map here, there is another area which I am shading now is a little run. So it consists of two regions, the greater run and the little run. If I ask you which is to the north and which is to the south, the greater run or the little run? The little run lies to the south of a greater run of Kutch. This region is known as a greater run of Kutch. And you can see here, it is known as a little run to the south. Now, let me change the ink color. What is the second thing you can find out? Tell me the rivers which are emptying into this run region. See the greater run of Kutch. There is one of the biggest inland river of India. It drains into the greater run of Kutch. It is the largest river of Rajasthan. No, it is one of the important inland rivers of India and one of the important inland river of Rajasthan. Which was the river? River Luni. River Luni. Tell me, where does the river Luni drain into? Gulf of Kutch, greater run or little run? You can see here in the atlas. Whatever, if you are having this Oxford atlas, open the page. Open page number 14 and you can see here where does the river Luni drain into. You can see river Luni drains into the, if I am drawing the river Luni now, river Luni drains into the greater run of Kutch. Can you see the blue color line in my map? It is river Luni which is draining into the greater run of the Kutch. So this is the river Luni. Remember, write it somewhere, river Luni drains into the greater run of the Kutch region. Now there are another two important rivers which are inland rivers. Come to that little run region. I will change my ink color. The other two important rivers which drain are river Banas. See where it is draining? It is draining into the little run region. This is river Banas. Then we have river Saraswati also draining into the little run region. We have river Saraswati which is also draining into the run of Kutch region. I will write the spelling again. We have river Saraswati. R dot stands for river and river Saraswati. So, which you have some of the questions. If the question come in the examination, in which area does river Luni drains? in the run of Kutch. If they ask you specifically in the greater run or little run, it drains to the north near Pakistan border. So greater run. Where does the river Banas and Saraswati drain? Specifically in the little run. So we can conclude two things in it. None of this river, neither river Luni, nor river Banas, nor river Saraswati is reaching the sea. They are emptying into the land itself, either into the greater run or the little run, and therefore we can conclude here that this run of Kutch region is a land of inland drainage. Is a land of inland drainage. Land of inland drainage. This land of inland drainage, you remember why? Because three rivers are emptying. River Luni is emptying here, river Banas is emptying here, and river Saraswati is emptying in this region. River Banas, river Luni, and river Saraswati is emptying in this region. So this is one of the point. Now come to the next point. There are two areas. Obviously, one area is the Gulf of Kutch region. You can see between the Kutch and the Kathiawar, and the other is the Gulf of Khambat region. Is any river draining into the Gulf of Kutch? Any major river draining into the Gulf of Kutch? No, you won't see any river draining into the Gulf of Kutch. And therefore, jahan pe river drain nahi hota, there are numerous corals which are found in the Gulf of Kutch region. You will find here corals in the Gulf of Kutch region. There are corals in India in the Gulf of Kutch region. Try to negate this. Then what is the major port in the Gulf of Kutch region? One of the biggest port in the world, one of the biggest port in Asia, and the largest oil refinery in the private sector in India is Jamnagar Refinery. Jamnagar Refinery belongs to Reliance Industries. It is the biggest, one of the biggest oil refineries in the world. And where does it lie? It lies in the Gulf of Kutch region. So this is what you remember from here, from the map viewpoint. The land of inland drainage, marshy land, and remember Jamnagar is an important port here, important refinery of the Gulf of Kutch region. How to check it? Exactly, if you are having the Oxford map, exactly you can see the opposite side of the page. You will be, one map is a physical map jahan pe physical characteristics are given. One map is a political map jahan pe major cities and the political characteristics are given. What is the other important point? Now let me use again, I am drawing this region. See where I am drawing. You can see I am shading this region here. There were corals around this island. But what is the name of this island? The name of this island here is Kandla. So the Kandla is an important port. It is an important shipbreaking, it is an important port here. Now if I ask you, Kandla is an island or port in which region? Gulf of Kutch or Gulf of Khambat or Gulf of Cambay? Gulf of Khambat is also known as Gulf of Cambay. If I ask, where is the Kandla port located? In the state of Gujarat. If they ask you specifically in the examination, in the state of Gujarat, where Gulf of Kutch or Cambay, you know where it is located is the Gulf of Kutch region. For people who are not having this Oxford Atlas, you can, the other atlas I had suggested is the Orient Longman. Orient Longman, may both the physical and the political map is on the same page. For GS, it will also suffice. There is no need that you should invest in too many atlases. Try to use whatever resources you are having to their benefit. So you can see here, Run of Kutch is also given, Little Run is also given, and here Kandla is also given, and Jamnagar is also given. Jamnagar is not exactly exactly on the seashore. It is little bit inside, but remember in the Gulf of Kutch region. And Kandla is a port itself. It is a port in the Gulf of Kutch region. Now the Gulf of Kutch region, biodiversity wise, the Gulf of Kutch region in the terms of animal life, it is famous for one thing. What is this? This is an Indian wild ass. So the Indian wild ass sanctuary, Indian wild ass sanctuary, is located in the Gulf of Kutch region, in the run of Kutch region. So, where is the Indian wildlife sanctuary located? In the Gulf, in the run of Kutch. Actually, it is located in the Little Run region. It is located in the Little Run. Indian wild ass is found only in this region. It is located in the Little Run region. If I ask you again what is so specific about this, if I ask you again in which state, you know the state is Gujarat. Okay, so Indian Wildlife Sanctuary in the Kutch region. Kutch region mein Kandla is an important port, and remember Indian Wildlife Sanctuary also. So Gujarat in the Kutch region. Now let us come to the next part, that is the Kathiawar region. Now I will draw this on the map itself, the Kathiawar region, so that it becomes easy, because यहाँ पे there are too many things which are important for the Kathiawar region. This is the Gulf of Cambay. This is the Gulf of Cambay or the Gulf of Khambat. Or Cambay. And this entire part here, ये जो shaded region है ऊपर, which I am shading now, what is this? This is the Kutch region. Land of inland drainage, land of marshy land. If you remember, we had done India-Pakistan mein one dispute, boundary dispute, that is the Sar Creek issue. Where is this Sar Creek? This region, which I am again shading it now, is the Sar Creek region. Or if you want to see here, this region is the Sar Creek region, which I am making it white now. This region is the Sar Creek region. Now we are going to study the next region, that is the Kathiawar region of Gujarat. So let us study with the help of map. Remember the Kathiawar region, I will write here so that my face is also visible. Kathiawar region is an example of an emerged or submerged. It is an example of an submerged coastline. Kathiawar region, it is an example of an submerged coastline. It is an example of an submerged coastline. What is the, now look at an example, at the map pointing examples of a Kathiawar region. First, in the Kathiawar region or in the Gulf of Khambat, you will see there are numerous rivers which go into the Gulf of Khambat or the Gulf of Cambay. And tell me the name of these rivers which originate. Look in your physical map. Tell me the name of rivers which drain into the Gulf of Cambay region, which drain into the Gulf of Khambat region. The first river which drains here is river Sabarmati. River Sabarmati. The second river which drains here is river Mahi. The third river which drains here is river Narmada. It's a very big river, so let us show in the map that it is continuing somewhere from back is river Narmada. And the fourth river which drains here is river Tapi. The Gulf of Khambat. What we are doing? We are doing the map pointing around the Kathiawar region also. So, what is the important thing about the Kathiawar region? You remember it is the submerged coastline. That is, now come to the physical map pointing. The important rivers which drain in this region, not exactly the Kathiawar region, but in the Gulf of Khambat. So, if the UPSC asks you the question, which four rivers drain into the Gulf of Khambat, you have an answer. One is Sabarmati, Mahi, Narmada, and Tapi. These are the four rivers which will drain into the Gulf of Khambat region. Now come back again to the Kathiawar region. Can you see a mountain which is found in the Kathiawar region? Can you see the mountain which are found in the Kathiawar region? These mountains are here. These mountains are found here in this region. And what are the name of these mountains? These mountains are known as Gir Hills or Gir Ranges. These are Girnar Hills. Or Gir Ranges. Remember, the Girnar Hills or the Gir Ranges are of volcanic origin. Part of, we can say, a continuation of an Deccan lava plateau. These are of an volcanic origin. These are of volcanic origin. Gir Ranges or the Girnar Ranges are of a volcanic origin. Now, what is famous about the Girnar Ranges? I will show that in the next slide. Just you remember, where are the Gir Ranges located? Kutch region or Kathiawar region? They are located in the Kathiawar region. Kathiawar region के पास क्या है? Gulf of Khambat. Gulf of Khambat में which four rivers drain? Sabarmati, Mahi, Narmada and Tapi. Repeat with me again and again. Now, let us do some of the political map. Open your political map. We will do some of the important towns, important ports here. The first and the most important port here is the Porbandar. If they ask you where, in which region is the Porbandar located? Porbandar is located here. Porbandar is an important port. Where was Jamnagar? Jamnagar was here. Where was Kandla? Kandla was here. This was Jamnagar. Which is this region? Gulf of Kutch. This is the Gulf of Khambat. So, Porbandar is an important port. Now, how many union territories are there in India? Tell me the name of union territories. Delhi, Chandigarh, Andaman Nicobar Islands, Lakshadweep, Pondicherry, Daman Diu, Dadra Nagar Haveli. So, there are 7 union territories in India. And where is the Diu then? In Gujarat, in Maharashtra, in Andhra, in Karnataka. It is located in, at the tip here. You can see the Diu Island. Diu is an island which is located here. Diu is an island which is located here. Just why I chose to show you on this type of a board so that it gets fixed in your mind. Even you do not know where the questions can come, neither I know, but we can just predict some of the areas. So, if you should have an idea as a geography student, as a UPSC student, where is Diu located? Near Gujarat. What we call Diu and Daman. So, where is the Daman located? Daman is located here. Daman is located here. Daman is located here. Now, I will change the color and try to draw the boundary of Gujarat. Why I am trying to draw the boundary of Gujarat? To make sure that you can answer the most difficult questions also in this examination pattern. So this entire part is now Gujarat, which I am marking by dots. The yellow dots is the Gujarat region. Yellow dots is the Gujarat region. While what is the state which is to the side of Gujarat? This is a Maharashtra state. This is the state of Maharashtra. So this is Gujarat and this is Maharashtra. Now if I ask you, Diu Daman lies in Maharashtra or in Gujarat? It is an union territory, but it is enclosed by which state? Maharashtra or Gujarat? You have an answer, it is enclosed by Gujarat. Then which is the union territory which lies between the border of Gujarat and Maharashtra? Can you see there is another union territory here? I will use again a different color to make sure that you don't make mistakes. The union territory here which lies between the Gujarat and Maharashtra border is Dadra and Nagar Haveli. What is this union territory here? It is Dadra and Nagar Haveli. Or what it is known as? It is known as DNH. So the Dadra and Nagar Haveli, to the UPSC will give you some of the questions like this. Statement 1. Daman and Diu, DND, is enclosed by Gujarat. Is enclosed by Gujarat. Statement 2. Dadra and Nagar Haveli, it can come even in the examination as DNH, is bordered by both Maharashtra and Gujarat. By both Maharashtra and Gujarat. Which of the following statements is true? They can ask you which of the following statement is true. Which of the statement is true? Dadra and Nagar Haveli is enclosed by Gujarat. Daman and Diu is enclosed by Gujarat. Yes. This region, Daman, lies totally in Gujarat. Diu is an island, but it is enclosed by Gujarat. Dadra and Nagar Haveli is bordered by Maharashtra and Gujarat. Yes, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, you can see it. This region is the Dadra and Nagar Haveli. It lies between, I am writing here, this is DNH. It lies between Gujarat and Maharashtra. So these are the important map pointing questions here. This is an important map pointing question here. There is one more port which lies here, and it is the port of Ankleshwar. There is one more port which lies here. It is a port of Ankleshwar. It is a port of Ankleshwar. So Porbandar, Ankleshwar in the Gulf of Khambat, Jamnagar, Kandla in the Gulf of Kutch, Diu in the Gulf of Khambat region. Which are the four rivers which drain into the Gulf of Khambat? It is the Sabarmati, Mahi, Narmada and Tapi. Which union territory lies entirely in Gujarat or totally in Gujarat only? It is Daman and Diu. Entirely in Gujarat, Daman. Diu is an island, Diu is an island here. Which union territory lies both in Gujarat and Maharashtra? It is Dadra and Nagar Haveli. So these are the important points here. Now I am asking you, why is this Gir ranges or Girnar ranges famous for? We'll see that in the next slide. Why is this Gir or the Girnar ranges famous for? The Gir or the Girnar ranges or the Gir National is famous for the only place for Asiatic lion in India. This is the Gir ranges or the Gir National Park. Remember, the Gir National Park is the place only place in India जहां पे the lions are found. So Gir National Park, remember, Asiatic lions, the only place in India where lions are found. Lions are not found anywhere in India other than the Gir National Park region. Also, this region is also famous for Nal Sarovar Bird Sanctuary near Ahmedabad. But again, this is not important. But if the question comes in near which city is the Nal Sarovar Bird Sanctuary located, you remember near Ahmedabad. But again, I am saying not important. Not important. Which is not important? This is not important. But this is very, very important. So this is all about the Gujarat region. We have just started with the western coast. Thankfully, we do not have that much map pointing in the Konkan and the Canara coastline, but we will have some interesting facts about the Malabar and the eastern coast of India. So we'll meet again in the future, in the next lecture. Till that time, thank you very much.